Just putting this video together and realized that somewhere in all the confusion we lost the video that we had of replacing the hood. So just throwing this in here to make a note of that. Here's our old red hood that we took off, and you'll see later on in the videos several places the green one that's been replaced with. But pretty straightforward deal. We're just 4 bolts holding it in place, and 2 of the strut rods that hold the thing up. We had to loosen the clips up and pop those off and put them in. It's kind of easier to put a hood on when you got 2 guys to do it with, so I had the boys doing most of it, and we got her all swapped out. Got her back in place, tightened down, and I had to do a little bit of adjusting on it, but we got it to where it works. I'm happy with it now, and we'll move on, and that'll be all part of the replacement and refurbishment of the project here. We're actually going to have the boys work on a project here. We're going to get these 2 seats out, and we'll clean underneath them, and the passenger one will be easy because I just bolt in the replacement that we got. The driver's one's going to be a little harder because we're going to have to switch all of our foam and upholstery over to the current seat frame, because the seat frame on the new seat we have is a passenger seat. So getting this one out is really easy. They got to take this seat belt holder off of the side, which has a couple of Phillips screws in it, and then they got to come down and they'll slide the seat all the way forward, and under the back of it there'll be 2 bolts holding it down to the floor. Those have to come out, and then they'll slide it all the way to the back, and there's 2 matching bolts under the front. They'll take those out, and it should come right out at that point. So I'm going to have them working on that, and we'll show you when they get it out of there. We have successfully got it unbolted, and it should be ready to come out. Lean it back and make sure there's not a wire attached to the bottom of it somewhere. All good? Okay, let's get that sucker out of there. There we go. Go backwards, Brian. Don't scratch the car. Here we go. Off into the wild blue yonder. Shop's a little tight there. Alright, next we got to clean up the pig pen from underneath of it, and then we'll be ready to come put the new one in. Alright, so we've had Carter in here scrubbing on this carpet. He vacuumed it first, now he's scrubbing it all out because it was pretty gross under there. Looks like he's got a pretty good job, and then he's going to vacuum it with a shop vac. And now we got Brian ready to come over here and take out the driver's seat. He's unbolted it and got the wires unhooked from the bottom, so here we go. Out comes the driver's seat. There you go, good job. Alright. We'll set it out there where we can work on it. Oh, gross. This one's even worse than the other side.
You can do the next one.
Alright.
Oh, thanks.
So here we go. We'll clean this one up, and then we'll be back in business here. Also, we got the hood adjusted now to where it's shutting and lining up pretty good. And right now I'm going to replace the air intake vents here with the ones off the red hood, because that one over there particularly is a lot straighter, and I at least want them to match. So that's what I'm working on right now. Here we go. We got Carter cleaning the driver's side, getting that disgusting mess out of there. Looks like we got a few cigarette burns. You won't be able to get them, but man, that floor looks a lot better than it did. So, and then on the other side, we got Brian bolting in our replacement seat. So that should go pretty smoothly. I think that's going to look tons better than what we had in there. So he's going to get that all taken care of. We'll get the seat belt retainer put back up there, and then I think we'll be all good to go on this side. Alright, so here's the absolutely delightful driver's seat out of the old car, sitting on our first class workbench there. So we'll start tearing this apart and see if we can figure out how to get those other cushions and things onto here. I've been told that you can do it. I just don't know what it's going to take yet, so I'm going to dig into it and find out, and we'll let you see how we come out in the end here. So far, our swapping of the driver's seat cushions has been pretty straightforward, actually. The one that I bought let's see, this is actually the old driver's seat, but it turns out that the bases, the metal part of this base, was, they used the same one on both sides. So all the holes are drilled and everything. What I did is I just unbolted these 4 bolts on the corners here. The seat track unbolted from the seat and bolted onto the new one. So that's got me all set up. Here we are with my passenger base seat cushion on my driver's side electric traction controls down here, and it's all set and ready to go back in the car. There's 2 holes in the cushions that I had to poke through with a Phillips screwdriver here into where the nuts are welded in behind them, and that's the only modification I've had to make on the seat. It's on the base. We've got this over here, could be a little ugly, but this hole's going to be filled, and these are going to be hidden by the console, which comes right here. So I don't think you're even going to notice it on these, on this driver's base. Now the top side's a little more complicated. We're going to have 2 things that'll be different. I'll have to cut a hole in the upholstery for this bracket to come through, which that's just what the factory did, only it was on the other side. And then right here is where the seat belt bracket container bolts on here, and it was actually right here on the passenger one. So what I did was I cut this chunk of foam out of there, and I ended up just stuffing it in there. I think it'll probably stay there pretty neatly. And this, you pull this flap back here, and the whole seat frame lifts out of the cushion, and it's hooked right here with this metal hook. And so I put it in there and hooked that hook back over it, pulled it up in place, got this here, and pulled the sides up, and so far it's a cakewalk. Now I've done enough upholstery to know that getting the upholstery itself back over this might not be such a cakewalk, but I think it's going to be doable. So that's my next step, and I get that done, we'll bolt the back onto the base, and we'll have a nice, fancy, decent looking driver's seat again. Oh, and by the way, Carter's been scrubbing and cleaning in here, and he's got this interior looking tons better. There's, still going to have a little bit of raggedness, but most of that's under the seat where it can't be seen. And we've got a seat cushion to cover that hole in the floor. But I'm really pleased with the way this inside's turning out. And so he's been cleaning the door panels, and we still got to come in and clean the dash and all the plastic and everything. But he's got the back seats cleaned up and got the trunk scrubbed quite a bit and cleaned it up. So, for our $300 car, it's not pristine, but it's going to be pretty decent. And I'm excited about the way it's looking. So there you go. The Crazy Dad Camaro's coming along. Alright, here it is, guys. This is our right seat turned into left seat, passenger seat turned into driver's seat. And I am really, really pleased with the way this went, especially considering there were no good driver's seats anywhere in any of the wrecking yards. And I picked up these 2 passenger seats for about $30 a piece, maybe 40. And the swap over was really simple. You just got to realize there's a couple little things you're going to have to live with, but for $30 I'm willing to live with it. One of them is this thing where on the old seat we had that knob right there coming through a cut, and so this one's going to have that in it. There's not anything to do about it, but again, it's in the back, in the middle of the car. It's almost never going to get seen by anybody. And then up here, and this is coming out better than I even hoped for, right here are the 2 holes for where that seatbelt loop screwed onto the passenger seat. And because of the way they set in there, there's almost no destruction. In fact, if I play with that a little bit, I may get that to where you can't even really hardly see it. And that's going to be, again, on the inside of the seat. And if I get my new one fixed, because the bracket on the driver's seat's broken, then I will have to find the 2 holes to put it through right there. But man, I'm totally pleased with this. I had that panel was falling off. It only had one screw left in it, and between the two seats had enough screws to put it back together. So we're all ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to set this thing back in there, and we'll be off and running again. So I'm pretty stoked about that. And Carter's still carrying on. He's getting things cleaned up. It's looking better and better and better in there. Looks like he's working on the dashboard now. So we'll get in there and put that seat in place and give you some more pictures of how it's turning out. Here's a wrap up on the seats and hood and kind of most of the interior. Got it cleaned up. As you can see, this is not cleaning up perfectly, but at least it's clean, and it's going to be a lot better than it was. You look in here, we don't have nearly the mess that we had on the interior. I really am pleased with the way these two seats are turning out. Just it makes the car look entirely different. This is probably going to be the worst spot on the whole car is the driver's floor mat. We got that big hole in the carpet, but putting this floor mat in there, even though it's kind of worn, it looks a ton better than the giant hole, and I'm okay with that for what we're doing right now. And like I said, it's not a show car. Remember, it's just going to be a nice, fun car that looks like it'll be fun to enjoy. So they cleaned the dash up quite a bit. I think there's still a lot we can do on that. We'll get to that later. I cleaned up the console and the door panels a tremendous amount. This one is still apart because I've got to get in there and get a new window regulator fixed. We got a lot of flop and play here, plus fix that bad spot with the switches. A couple of different things like that that have to be done there. We're looking pretty good that way. I'm really pleased for the money that we spent on it, what we're coming out with. And here's our new hood. We look across here, no dent that we used to have right there. We're standing there able to look at the new hood. I changed out the vents and put the fake scoops or vents or whatever you want to call them in from the red hood because they were in better shape. And so I've got them both in there. And we've got it lined up pretty good. It's not perfect. I may work on it, I may not. It's all right for what we're doing here. So all that works out pretty good. So they were looking for a grand total of for around $100, $120. We fixed the interior and fixed that hood, and I'm really pleased with that. We're gonna put some paint on it, obviously, and change the whole outlook of the whole project. But that's where we're at right now, and I think probably one of our next projects is going to be working on the window regulator in this door and that door panel, getting them put back together, and then we'll see what happens and see if we can get our new used engine here and get it swapped into the thing so that we can get this baby on the road.